Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 10, the Back to Back Boys, Garret and Zach. Welcome you back. Good to have you here. Thanks for listening. As you're listening to this, it's Wednesday, December 10th. Zach, we got a lot to talk about this week. It was a busy weekend. Things going on in the college football world between the Jackrabbits, between Washington State is currently looking for a new coach. Um, their bowl games have been decided, college football playoff, everything like that. So we will just get right into it because our brains are just going to bounce around a million different directions, and I'm sure we're going to forget about something. So just bear with us.
No, we'll remember it all. We got it.
Yeah, certainly. So we'll start. We'll head out to Missoula, Montana, where unfortunately the Jackrabbit season ended this past Saturday with a final score of 50-29 to the Montana Grizzlies. As much as I hate to do it, we got to tip our cap to Montana. They 50-pieced us, which hurts.
I refuse.
They just played better than we did for the whole 60 minutes, and like that's not a dig. Like Dan Jackson said it himself in the locker room right after the game. Like the video that went out there, which is a great video. I would encourage everyone to watch it if you haven't seen it. I we'll get to it later. I think Dan Jackson's the man. He's the right man for the job. But yeah, the game started. It was up and down. Thought it was going to be a track meet, and it was. Our runner just wasn't as fast as Montana's runner, and they just ran a lot further and a lot longer than we did.
We needed a little break in the middle to catch our breath, and by the
Yeah,
time we started running again, it was too late.
little water break. I thought that defense, that goal line stand after the pick was huge. Was
Yeah.
on the 95-yard touchdown pass play. I'm like, oh, here we
As
go.
soon
Like
as that happened, yeah,
it's
same thing. It
on.
was like, and then still we got up, and it was 14-6, and it's like, okay, we're still, we're still doing all right. We're still doing good. And then just really that second quarter when they go into halftime up eight, it still doesn't feel bad. But then they score two more touchdowns coming out of halftime, and we're still stuck at 14. We eventually get two more scores to end the game, but at that point, it felt, at least to me, like a little bit too late. You know, as soon as they go up 36-14, it's still within reach. It is. It just didn't necessarily feel quite as obtainable. And especially you let them get to 50 and you're just not going to win many games like that in the playoffs.
Yeah, like that's what we alluded to. Like I think we gave up over 500 yards to Montana and 50 points. Like you can't realistically expect to pitch a performance like that and come out with a win, especially on the road, especially at Montana, hard place to play. Um, so yes, the season has concluded. I know we kind of tweeted it, but thank you to all the seniors, especially those who stuck with the program. There was a lot of turmoil kind of this time last year. The future of the program was kind of up in the air. And those who decided to stay to try to keep it intact, I think is very admirable. So, like I said, it would have been easy to duck out of there because there was a lot of unknowns. Um, and this team was handed a lot this year. Like I just said, like everything going on at the conclusion of last season to the conclusion of this season, everything in between there was an emotional roller coaster, and I think they had to deal with a lot this year. They had to deal with all that stuff, new coaches, whole bunch of new teammates. They worked, to become a team, and then they lose one of their teammates in the summer. And then they rally around that. They start off, come out the gate 7-0, then they go on a little bit of a skid. There's, people doubting them and throwing dirt on the grid. Just can't wait to put them out, and they battle back. They battle back despite everything that they had been handed, and it took them to the second round of playoffs and a road loss to Montana. So I just think they had a lot on their plate this year.
Yeah, I think exactly what you're saying when you look at the season as a whole. Like you look at this group and you're like, we didn't win a national championship. We didn't win a conference championship, but considering everything that was handed to this group, I'm damn proud of them. Like they were not dealt an easy deck. They did not have, things just handed to them. Like the cards they were given, you know, just they overcame a lot. And,
Yeah,
if
and
we told you at the beginning of the year we were going to win a playoff game and we were going to go on the road and have a chance against Montana, who's the second favorite now to win the whole thing. And it's it's one of those things where you tip your hat, like you had said, you tip your hat to the seniors, you thank them for staying, for continuing to make SDSU a special place, in the new age of college football where everyone's trying to get paid and everyone's trying to go chase greener grass, SDSU is still a pretty damn special place. And for those guys to realize it and continue to be here and, you know, water where your feet are at and continue to keep that grass green is pretty important.
yeah, no doubt. That's a good point. We'll talk more about it later, but college football as a whole is just a freaking mess right now, and it's sad to see because obviously we love college football, and it's just getting ruined more and more with each passing day. Like the whole thing with you see what Utah's doing now. Like they got a private
Yeah.
equity investor come. Like what are we doing? This is ridiculous at this point. But yeah, shout out Coach Jackson. I think like I said, I think he's a man for the job. He to be spearheading this program in this season in particular with everything that was going on. Um, to feel the team, to get a bunch of scrappy guys together, um, and to put a product out on the field every Saturday. I think he did a really special job, and I think he's going to, with a whole year, for um, a normal year, for lack of a better word, like he's got his guys, he's going to have his recruits. He's not just going to be scrambling, talking on the phone for 22 hours a day just to try to field the team. Like he's going to get his guys in the building. They're going to get the people that they want, the guys that can run their schemes. So I think rest up, take a week or two to rest up, but then the guys who come back, because I mean obviously we've already lost a few to the transfer portal. I'm sure there's going to be more, but like the guys who come back on that first day of winter workouts, it's go time again. Another off season in the weight room, spring ball, and everything. So I think we got the right man leading this program, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And you hit on a little bit of that start back to winter workouts. That's something, we've had a lot of success in our program that, wasn't necessarily always there. We got bounced in the second round of the playoff our redshirt freshman year in 2019. And I distinctly remember, you know, the fire that was under us when we came back. Like there's something to be said about, having not always been to the semis or, a lot of the guys on the team haven't experienced that. They haven't experienced a low. They haven't experienced not winning a national championship or making it to the semis or, having a very successful season. And to have a season like this, I think, if they view it the right way, it can put things, back into perspective to be able to really feel that fire and continue throughout the off season, into next year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If nothing else, just kind of another reminder of how hard it is to win and all the stuff you got to do to win consistently. Not just in the fall, but 365 days a year. So, also, I think it's cool that I've seen on Twitter, like Coach Jackson, all the guys who do enter the portal, like he shoots them a reply and like, thank you for everything. We're gonna help you find a new home. Like that's the kind of guy you're signing up to play for. And I think
Yeah.
that says a lot about him, and that says a lot about what he's about. So shout out him for that. But yeah, shout out Grea. Good season. Fought a lot of adversity. Obviously, there's no look ahead for next week. So um, I don't really have anything else to put a bow on this year, if unless you do. But
Biggest message is just thank you again to the seniors. We have been there. We have played our last game at SDSU, and we were very fortunate to win a national championship for our last game. But you'll be damned if you don't think I still didn't cry after that game. And it wasn't because we won, it was because I wasn't going to get to do it again. And this is something that those players are going through. And just, again, want to thank them for everything that they've done for the program because it is a special place.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You alluded to it, but like I'm not gonna say I wasn't happy because like obviously, we just accomplished something incredible, but like that was kind of the theme of everybody. Like I was so sad that like my time as a Jackrabbit was done. Like I think there's an interview, like I'm getting interviewed and I'm like crying and like choking up and I can't hardly talk because I'm like so sad. And then they're like, "Aren't you like excited?" And I'm like, "Not really, no." Like I think Isaiah had something like the same. He's like, I just
Yeah.
wish we could go lift on Monday, like with the boys. And like
Yeah. It's you just want
it's
more time.
yeah, you want more time. There's no doubt about it. But it is a hard thing, when that moment does come. So yeah, they're going through that right now. And yeah, shout out to those guys. Had a hell of a run. And the good news about the season being over with is the beer at Ray's is plenty cold. So gather around, boys. Let's grab a cold one and relive the glory days. That was always a top day of the year. Like once the season was done, everybody's head to Ray's,
Yeah.
have a little fun, blow
You
off
have the
some
team
steam.
meeting that next day. You leave immediately from the team meeting, head to Ray's, and it's true. It was truly a special thing because it was, one of the last times that group, because the seniors were going to move away or they were going to leave or they were going to do other things, and it was almost just a different feeling of that and just expressing your gratitude in that moment. So yeah, definitely a special moment there each year, which you didn't always want it to be a special moment because then the season was over, but you know that was still a special moment.
Yeah, no doubt. It's one of those things that's like odd because like you're devastated, but like in that moment you're just so happy because you're just hanging out with all the guys and like you're just trying to kick the can down the road of like when everybody's going to disperse and like everybody's got to go do their own thing now, but like that's not on
Yeah,
anybody's mind until like literally until the moment somebody's like, "All right, well boys, I gotta go." Then it's like, damn, you do. Like, like it's,
yeah,
but yeah, anyway, so no, yeah, no look ahead. uh Rest up and get ready for next year. We'll leave it at that. So okay, now we're gonna do some bowl talk. We're gonna save the good stuff for last. I know that we're gonna leave the big story for the last, so people have to listen,
well,
stay listening.
we have to talk about the FCS just a little bit longer
Okay, yes, I want to
because there
say
was another.
good point. There's two things I really want to say. Number one, if you're an SSU fan, under no circumstances are you rooting for USC to beat Montana this week. I've seen some stuff
It's the
like that
most
online.
asinine take I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
yeah, I've seen people like, no, I'd rather the Coyotes win. Like, no, are you nuts? Absolutely
No,
not. No,
no,
it's not okay. Absolutely not. No,
no.
no. Montana
Do you
has
think
to
they were
win.
happy at all for us when we won our natty?
No,
No, they didn't.
no. I
They
no.
were
I
pissed. They didn't give a damn.
I've
Like,
seen multiple where it's like, well, now that SDSU is out, I hope USD can do it like for the pride of the state. Like, no, screw all of that. I hope they
all
get
the
beat
way
by
out
a
on that.
million. I hope they get beat by a million. Um, so yeah, go Montana, which never thought I'd say, but you have to. It's your only choice. It's your only choice.
Yeah.
You can't even say like, oh, I wish they could both lose. No, can't say that. That's a cop out. You have to cheer for the Grizzlies.
The real question is, so we have to cheer for the Grizzlies this weekend. Then it's going to be Grizz Cats again, and I would prefer both of those teams to also lose. And then the real thing is we're just going to have to cheer for whoever comes out of the other side of the bracket. Tarleton State,
Mm,
maybe.
Yeah, but they're fraudulent too, though. They've backed out of playing SSU so many times.
That's fair. But also, why is Tarleton State the four seed, the highest ranked team left on that side of the bracket?
Uh, let's see.
That
Oh, that's because the team who was like minus 300 odds to win the national championship lost at home with a two touchdown lead in the fourth quarter. Who was that though? I can't quite remember.
that wouldn't be any. That wouldn't be like
Mm,
would be someone. Oh, it was NDSU.
it was NDSU. You're right. That's right. Thanks for
I
reminding me of
can't
that.
believe they were in conversations to be one of the greatest teams in FCS history, and they didn't win a playoff game. That's crazy.
Oh, makes me
That is.
so happy. So funny.
Oh, I'm shocked.
So funny. I'm also shocked. I mean, look at the box score. Illinois
Yeah,
State threw five interceptions. NDSU had four completions. So Illinois
is that
State,
all it was for?
I'm pretty sure Cole Payton had four completions. So Illinois State threw the ball to an NDSU player and caught it more often than NDSU threw the ball to an NDSU player and caught it. And they lost.
That's insane.
I don't know how that works. I don't know how that happens.
That's insane. Well, hey, their backup quarterback had two completions, so
Oh,
he had
okay. So he
so
had
they
more
had
than Cole
six
Payton.
total.
He had
Yeah,
more than Walter Payton favorite
sorry,
Cole Payton.
their starting quarterback.
Uh
Iowa
right.
or Illinois State's starting quarterback threw more completions to
Okay.
North Dakota State players than their starting quarterback.
Okay, so congrats.
Clarification in there.
They had six completions total, so they beat him by one.
Yeah,
Nice, cool, good job. Thanks. Round of applause. Nice job. Great job.
that's
Um,
just insane.
and I saw Zimmer troll him too because they're always, whining and moaning about they want to go FBS because the FCS is just too boring for them now. So lucky for them, this is Zimmer. This is straight from Zimmer's mouth, but I love it. He's like they don't have to watch any boring old FCS football playoff games anymore this year. They get to just go watch on TV. So have fun with that. I love it. I absolutely love it. So funny.
They, I hadn't taken a peek at the box score until you had said that. These numbers are astounding. They
Yeah.
got doubled up in passing yards, rushing yards, that which led to them being doubled up in total yards. The number of first downs, Illinois State had 23 and NDSU had 6. They almost doubled them up in total plays. They had 91 versus 46. So they're one short of doubling them up and threw 5 interceptions. Had a 42-minute time of possession, which is like you think about how almost every playoff game has gone up in the Fargo Dome, and that has never been seen.
NDSU had 42 minutes time of possession.
No, Illinois State did.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
42 minutes and 1 second. So North Dakota State had the ball for less than 18 minutes in the game.
So
Like,
that's the crazy part is you would look at the stats. Illinois State should have won by way more
oh, they
than
should have
one
boat raced them.
one
They
point.
just had 5 turnovers.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you just hate to see it. What a crying shame. Freaking what
I
a
don't hate to
bummer.
see it. I'm
Ah,
quite a fan.
darn.
Better luck
Yeah.
next year.
So
Oh
I
well.
think we can safely say that ends any and all discussion about comparing them to the 2023 Jackrabbits for best team ever.
You would think it does, but I'm sure some crazy fan up north is still going to try and make a stupid comparison about the regular season. But we'll let them just talk in circles around that one.
Yeah, they can have fun with that. Um, okay, so now FCS is we'll wrap that up. Bowl talk now. Northwestern. So I feel a little bit bad because they are going to play Central Michigan at Ford Field, which, if you're not familiar, is in Detroit. And there was someone on this podcast, we're not going to say who, last week said that like the very worst bowl game to go to would be the one in Detroit, because who wants to go to Detroit in like mid to late December? But
All I know is I'm glad I didn't speak that into existence.
well, listen, if they
I
were
don't know who
playing,
did it, but it wasn't me.
yeah, we're not going to name names, so we'll leave it at that. But that, listen, I'm sure they're happy to be in a bowl game. They get, they get more practice, they get to develop their guys. Like that's all fine and dandy. But then your reward is a vacation to Detroit, Michigan in December. So not great, but sometimes you got to play the hand you're dealt. So, do you know what day that game is at all, by chance?
Oh, I don't have the date in front of me. It's the 26th, Friday the 26th.
Okay.
And the game after it is the New Mexico Lobos. So we will get back-to-back SDSU former coaches action playing.
I'm still upset that I really wanted them to match up somehow. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
It's like Northwestern, New Mexico, or you know, Washington State, Northwestern, or something. That would have been sick.
I would have been so upset though had we gotten that matchup and we didn't actually get the coaches there. I would have been very upset about that.
Oh, you're saying if the events that have transpired were, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's fair. Valid point. But okay, yeah, back to New Mexico. They play Minnesota. I think in nature, a Lobo, which is just a wolf, most of the time can beat a gopher if they're fast enough, I guess. So I think you have to pick the Lobo in this one, right?
Why are we? What does this podcast come to? That this is the analysis that we're doing here.
It's the laws of nature. It's just.
Oh, I forgot you're a small town Iowa kid. This is what you grew up on.
Okay.
What?
You know what? I'm just gonna let that slide. I'm just gonna let it slide. We got more important things to talk about.
Oh, for the sake of the podcast, thank you.
Sake of the pod. That's at Chase Field. So that's on a baseball field, which not a huge fan of, because again, like why? What's the point of that? But I mean, maybe
Chase Field is in Arizona, so better.
No, yes, you get to go to Arizona, which could, be way more fun. But like, I mean, I guess if it's like a bowl game, that doesn't really mean a whole lot. Yeah, actually, you know what? Go ahead, play it on a baseball field. Do what you want. No one really it's not a huge deal if you win or not. So everybody's just there to go by the pool and hang out with the boys. So Iowa plays Vanderbilt on New Year's Day, which we did call this. We said it's not the Outback Bowl anymore, but it's what used to be the Outback Bowl. It's whatever giant corporation, the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa. Which just doesn't have.
What did you say the same ring bowl was?
I said whatever big corporation paid.
Can you say the name again for the people?
ReliaQuest.
That's not how you said it the first time.
It's exactly how I said it the first time.
All right. We'll let the listeners decide.
If only we had it recorded and we could go check.
We'll find out later.
Yeah. So is that New Year's Eve? Or day? I think it's New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
At 11 a.m.
New Year's Eve at noon.
11 a.m. Central Time.
Yes.
Yeah. Smart. Analytics.
Hey, we're big time zone guys.
Not getting into that. So yeah, Mark has one more game. Again, Tampa, good bowl town. Nice. I'm sure it's a nice little spot.
That's the way to do it.
Okay, and we will wrap up with a team we're probably not going to be covering for much longer. The Washington State Cougars are going to play in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise, Idaho, against, I don't even know who it's against.
Utah State. Which they no longer have a coach. They have an interim coach.
They did have an interim coach who will also no longer be there in about a few weeks.
And is also an STC Jackrabbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
so continue.
Jimmy Rogers has left the Washington State Cougars after one season and is now the head coach at Iowa State. And Twitter is having a field day with it. There are people going back in his mentions, but he's got probably his dream job, if you would assume. Like, I don't know there's many places he's going up from there. The last
I
coach stayed
mean,
there for 10 years and left Penn State.
that's what it sure sounds like because there's reports out there that they've been in contact for like the better part of 2 years now. So I would imagine that this is always where he wanted to be.
That is a little
Um,
strange, I will say. And we don't often get a look behind the curtain like that of, dealings within, you know, I mean, college is essentially professional sports now with the way everything works. We don't get a look behind that. So it felt weird that they would offer up that Coach Rogers and the Iowa State AD have been in contact for multiple years now
yeah,
and essentially told him,
all the way back to when he was at SDSU. I don't know
yeah,
why. I don't know why he would offer that information. The AD himself said it, didn't he?
yeah, he did like
Why?
right away.
Why would you say that? That is just
Because as I alluded to, Twitter is just having a field day with it. A lot of it is the Washington State fans who are naturally very upset that their school has just become a stepping stone. But that's what happens when you are a member of the Pac-2.
well, yeah.
And
Listen, they had their chance to get on board and leave the sinking ship that was the Pac-12, and they said no. And I
did
mean,
they
yeah.
say no, or did nobody want them?
Well, nobody probably wanted them, but like I see both sides of it, but like they also have to realize they like Iowa State objectively is a better job than Washington State. It's not even close.
No.
It's not even close.
Yeah, it's night and day different. You can actually, I mean, one, you're in the center of the country, so you can really recruit from anywhere. Yes, you're still in Iowa, which isn't the most attractive to the kids from Florida and Texas, but there's still a ton of recruits that always end up there. Don't act like that's a diss at Iowa.
Iowa's a great
Don't act like
state.
that's a diss at Iowa.
Iowa's a
It's the
great
same
state.
thing with any other cold state in the Midwest. We struggle with the same issue in South Dakota. So do you
Yeah.
feel better after that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, more centralized than having to go play all the way on the West Coast where nobody ends up watching the game because they're always at 11 midnight whenever they're happening. And like we said, they're not in a conference. So just objectively, much, much, much harder to win and actually go compete for the college football playoff out in Washington than it is at Iowa State.
Their AD also got fired, right?
Yes, and that was the AD who had hired Rodgers. So at that
Right.
point, he probably doesn't know who's coming in, and the AD may or may not have allegiance to him at that point too.
Right. Yeah. The thing about this was the fact that Iowa State's AD just voluntarily offered up all the behind the scenes information of like how long he and Jimmy have been in contact and how long like Jimmy's been asking him, what do I have to do to be the head coach at Iowa State? And he's like, you have to go coach at one more level up first before I think about hiring you. Like I just can't see why it's beneficial to tell
And
the
it
world that.
happened it happened instantaneously after their previous coach Matt Campbell left for Penn State.
I
Before he
mean,
had put ink on the paper at Penn State, Rodgers had been announced, which
I
again, I get that that's how it happens now, especially with recruits, and you don't want dead time, and you want to get the next guy in as fast as possible. It just all feels a little bit much, and then again, to share all that information, like, hey, we didn't contact him a week ago. We've been contacting him 2 maybe plus years. I don't know specifically when he first met him, but and again, this is probably much more common than is let out to the public, but it's also just not let out to the public for this reason.
yeah, we're not going to say it doesn't happen anywhere else, but it's like everyone else is smart enough to not say it. Like I
Yeah.
just can't figure out why he would have just voluntarily shit. Like no one was even grilling him for it or anything. He just like threw it up. Which yeah, I don't know, whatever. But
But
yeah, and like yeah,
in good
like
news for Coach
Jimmy
Rogers,
Jimmy accepted the job like without even knowing his salary. Like I read a report about that. Like it was I don't even like obviously before it gets like officially reported, there's all this speculation of like it's like Matt Campbell's gone. Like Penn State haven't even made the formal announcement yet. And then it's like Jimmy Rogers, new head coach at Iowa State. So
and speaking of his
it's the
salary,
Wild West.
in the last 11 months, because he didn't even spend a full 365 out in Pullman, he has multiplied his salary by 15. Roughly at SDSU, it was 300K, and now it is roughly 5 million, which good for him. Like, I know there are a lot of people, bitter along the way, but and it's the same kind of thing that you're fighting the whole time, but you'd be an idiot if you said that throwing that kind of money in front of someone isn't going to entice their decisions or get them to sway or get them to leave. It's why a lot of coaches leave places. It's because of the money.
I will be curious to see. Well, we already know who his OC is. I was going to say I'll be curious to see who he retains with him from Washington State of all the guys he drug out there with him from SDSU. And less than a year later, if he's gonna, who he's gonna take with, who he's gonna leave behind. It appears he's gonna leave at least one guy behind because he hired Tyler Roll, who was a Bison alumni, as his offensive coordinator. He was previously the tight ends coach for the Detroit Lions, so he's pulling him out of the NFL. Um, Shocking hire, maybe bit of an initial head scratcher of a hire. Is that fair to say?
I am floored by this move because I have not seen it on Twitter yet. We may have to post something about it to shed a little light on it. People don't realize that these two were essentially the biggest enemies, the biggest rivals for 2 decades. Like they played, Tyler Roll played at NDSU. He played tight end, fullback, whatever it was. Coach Rogers played linebacker. The two of them played against each other in the marker game when they were players. Then each proceeded to join their alumni staff for 15 plus years as they rose up the ranks, tight end coach, linebacker coach, eventually worked their way up to coordinator. Roll got passed up for the head coaching job, decided to leave, and Rogers got the head coaching job. But realistically, they were on the same exact path, just an offensive coach and a defensive coach at two rival schools. And for this to eventually, like this to be the resolution, I am just like, I in no way thought that they would ever have a good working relationship, given all the what I would assume to have been bad blood between them for, like I said, close to 2 decades of going against each other.
I obviously we don't know, but I would just have to guess. There's no way that that was his first phone call, right? Or do you
I
think it
don't
was?
know. The only reason it makes sense is because he used to be at Iowa State before he went to the NFL. Like, so he
That's
had
right.
previously
That's
been
true.
there. And so maybe that's a way to bring someone back to build rapport with the current team and say, hey, no, it's the same. Like, if the guys liked him and, be able to keep a little bit more people. But it is just a very head scratching thing when both of us know, at least from Coach Rogers' perspective, how intense he is as a person and how intense was about the Dakota Market rivalry game. And from all accounts that I could tell from the outside looking in, Coach Roll seemed to be the same exact way for NDSU. And for those two to now be joining forces at another school just feels very odd. And to be fair, it's, Northwestern's coach is the old NDSU DC, and he has three former SDSU coaches on staff with him. So it happens before. Just the long-standing history between these two individuals is more of what makes this surprising to me.
Yeah, I don't Bobbitt, Jesse Bobbitt is going to go be, I think, co-DC, right? And then they got another guy from Toledo. So
Yeah,
is
and I
that
couldn't tell in the
so? Is
tweet
that
if they're going to
does
be
that?
co-DCs now or if Bobbitt used to be a co-DC
Yeah, okay,
or if the other guy was a co-DC.
you're right.
Anyways, they have two defensive coaches. One or both of them will be defensive coordinators. One of them is the one from Washington State, who was also the linebacker slash defensive coordinator for South Dakota State, played linebacker for us, played under Rodgers, and is only 6 years into coaching, something like that. And he is now going to be a Power Four coordinator, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, I haven't seen very many other like announcements of staff hires, which we'll probably get a few in the upcoming days. Um, and as far as like transfers go, I'm sure there'll be some from Washington State going to Iowa State, and I'm sure there will be ones from Iowa State going to Penn State. Like,
Yeah,
but yeah, wild,
it's the way everything works nowadays.
wild time to be alive, which I think can kind of segue us into our next point. College football is just such a mess right now. Like nobody knows what's going on. It kind of stinks because it's just ruined. It's ruined, and it's getting more ruined by each passing day. And like we'll talk about the playoff bracket. The playoff committee is a complete joke. They're going to change the criteria again next year because it's been 2 years in a row now where the criteria they've set up of like, oh, this will be super easy gets twisted and mangled because nothing in college football ever goes as planned. So now their own criteria has worked against them for the second year in a row, and they look stupid, and they're mad that they look stupid. And instead of instead of Notre Dame getting in, who probably is one of the top best teams or the top 12 best teams in college football, you have JMU and Tulane getting in, who are going to get beat by 3 touchdowns in the first round game, and people are just going to be absolutely furious about it. So, I mean, yeah, then there's bowl opt outs on top of that, which we can talk about some more. But and then yeah, that private equity thing at Utah, like I know we said it earlier, like I don't know what any of that means. Like we're not smart enough
It's
for
not good though.
No, it's not good, not at all. Like we're not good enough to deal with $500 million worth of anything, but that there's no way that that's going to be good for the long term health of the sport.
And I think the easiest way that I have found to express what's wrong with college football without getting knee deep into the weeds is college football used to be this thing that was pure. And when you would get there, it was, hey, you can't take a cent, you can't do anything. You were in this for the love of the game, you were getting your school paid for, and that's like to a certain degree what set it apart from the NFL because it was an amateur thing and it was this and it was completely separate. Now what they've started to do is they've started to basically allow it to become like the NFL and allow all the payment, allow all the movement without having any guardrails on it and without any structure in place and with essentially just saying, hey, all the rules are still set up for this to be where no one wanted to leave conferences, no one was transferring, no one was doing anything like that, and it has just turned into the Wild West. I have no idea what the NCAA is going to do. I don't know if the NCAA is smart enough to do anything about it. I'm not going to hold my breath, and it's probably going to take 5 years to get any sort of, you know, new format or anything resembling a smooth or a quote unquote better college football, and it'll never be what it used to be because of NIL and transfer portal and everything like that. But I'm hopeful, at least to a certain degree, that we can get back to a college football that isn't just absolute and complete mayhem.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do either. At this point, it's I guess I don't know what they should do, but I'm confident about what is going to happen, and that's the G5, the Group of Five conference is just going to be its whole complete separate thing because after getting 2 Group of Five teams in this year over some of the heavy hitters like Texas and Notre Dame, they're not going to allow that to happen again. So the G5 is going to have to separate its whole separate deal because like you can't just have all those teams play an entire season with no goal at the end of it. So I think there's going to be a group of five playoff, and then a Power Four playoff with the SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and Big 12. And they're going to have the rest, and that's going to be its own playoff, and they're going to have their own national championship. And it's like the mega conferences are just a joke. There's 18, 20 teams in a conference, and like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Like they want to be the NFL, but also like have the amateur college football aspect of it at the same time when that's not even close to what it is. Like it's just so stupid. It's infuriating. You read tweets, it's like, yeah, this 19-year-old kid is going to transfer. His agency reports to whoever. It's like, what happened to the game I love, man? Like this is BS. Like we play college football. It was you had pride for the school you were playing for, and you had all your best buddies with you who were going to be best friends for the rest of your life, and that's all you needed. And now there's guys who
Yeah.
transfer three, four, five times in their career, and they don't stick anywhere more than 10 months at a time. It sucks.
Imagine if it was the NFL season and you had no need to honor your contract. You essentially were everyone's on 1 year contracts, and if you play well, you get to go play for the Chiefs or whoever you want to say the best team is. They're not having a great year this year, but whoever, the best team is, you get to have a good year, you get to go sign for a lot of money with the best teams. And then it's just going to continuously happen, and it's just dumbfounding that the schedule is wrong. You have players who I get coaches can leave at any point, but they also have contracts. There's also buyouts. There's also things that go along with that where players can just up and leave and they're in a new place and they really owe nothing to the school essentially.
And they
And
still get all their money too, because
yeah.
it's not
And
like performance based. So you sign a dotted line that says we will give you X amount of money. You don't ever have to play a snap, and they owe you X amount of money. It's
I
such.
I think a couple of years ago there was a LSU quarterback or something like that who signed a six-figure, maybe seven-figure NIL deal and or multiple deals and then essentially retired before the season started or at the beginning of the season. Got paid out, had to.
Mhm.
It was contractually obligated to pay him out and it's still new, it's still not regulated as well as it could be. Again, I'm not super optimistic anytime soon any of this is going to be figured out, but I do think you were right that eventually those top anywhere from 50 to 75 schools are going to take their toys and go leave and realize that they could keep all the TV revenue money for themselves and that they also don't need to be playing bad teams and they can play less games, more meaningful games, and it's going to be better for all the schools that go with. And honestly, to me, the group of five schools that get left behind, I think that's when SDSU, NDSU, maybe USD, maybe UND, the Montana schools will get pulled up to that next level, whatever they happen to call it, whenever that gets reconfigured, which I think the TV deals are up in 5 years, give or take. And that would make sense of when everything's gonna get redone, so to speak. But it's a mess. They need someone to be in charge of it versus just a committee of people in the NCAA who don't know what they're doing. And the answer is
No,
not athletic directors. It's
no,
not a rotating board of athletic directors
no. That
who
is
know sports, but not all athletic directors are created the same. Like we were very fortunate at SDSU. Like Justin Sell is a phenomenal AD. Not every school has that. Not every school has a, you know, football savvy or, sport savvy. You would think you'd have to be. It's not necessarily always the case.
no. I agree with you. The committee is an absolute travesty. It's a joke. Those people have no idea what they're doing, and time again, they have a chance to do something correctly and they just botch it and drop the ball every single time. Like the whole thing this year was like, who should get in, Miami or Notre Dame? I don't disagree with how the parameters are set up and how everything is laid out. They made the right choice having Miami get in over Notre Dame. That is 100% the correct call. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying for the past 2 weeks, Notre Dame has been ranked ahead of Miami. And then after this week, when neither one of them played a game, Miami jumped 3 spots over Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's left with their pants down, odd man looking out of the playoffs. Like if they knew that's what they're going to have to do, rank them ahead 3 weeks ago, so then they're not like, okay, well, like it's so dumb. And
Well, and
the other thing I think is going to happen, that stupid show every night where they release the rankings, that's going to get done with. Like
it has to.
they need to release the rankings one time once the season's done, once the conference championships are done, then and like again, conference championships, that's a whole nother thing. You're not gonna punish Alabama at all for getting blown out in their conference championship. BYU gets blown out in their conference championship, they're out of the picture. But you say
Yeah.
no, conference championship games, those don't matter. Like those don't factor in unless you win and you had to. I,
Yeah.
it's dumb.
And there was a very, very unique and weird like caveat within the rules that, kind of alluded to BYU losing, in which the before conference championship week, Notre Dame was 10, BYU was 11, Miami was 12. The committee, for whatever reason, Miami Notre Dame played. Miami won. They should be ahead. That's, when they're close like that, that's kind of the general rule of thumb. You play the game for a reason. Yes, it was early in the season. You still played the game. What they said is head to head only mattered if they were next to each other, directly next to each other. So as you had said, Alabama lost in the SEC championship game and got killed. They stayed put exactly where they were at the 9 slot. So then Notre Dame, who didn't play, stays at the 10, but BYU, who also lost, drops below Miami, so Miami can be next to Notre Dame so that that tiebreaker can go into effect. Like that as soon as they placed Notre Dame, BYU, Miami, Notre Dame stood no chance to get into the college football playoff, and they couldn't think about putting them ahead in case BYU won. Then they'd just be able to cop out and be like, well, they both miss it. So be it.
Yeah, like I said, they need a commissioner, like because at this rate, you're gonna have to just be the NFL. You need a commissioner. You need one guy to make all the decisions. And another thing I think they should do, they should the deliberation that the committee goes through that needs to be public. I want to hear
It
everybody's
just needs to
talking point.
stop.
No, I agree. It needs to stop. But if this is what they're going to do, it should be out open to the public because I can almost guarantee you 90% of the people in there don't know what the hell they're talking about or what's going on or what they're doing. And it's such a jumbled mess that something needs to be done and they need to fix it. And yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's going to take a little while because there's a lot to unravel at this point. But and then yeah, like Notre Dame and Iowa State opting out of bowl games. I mean,
The bowl games are dead. Nobody's going to want to
bowl
do
games
it.
are dead.
They're outside of the college football playoff. There are 3 bowl games where there are top 25 teams playing each other. That's it.
I saw something where it's like
You have
they should make a rule if you deny playing in the bowl game, you should be like denied uh a chance to be in the playoff next year, which I don't hate that rule.
it's I just I've always felt like bowl games were kind of dumb. That's always why I felt like the FCS was a better place to go than going group of 5 because again, you go group of 5, like you look at, obviously James Madison, the outlier in this scenario because they've jumped up and they made it to the college football playoff. But this was also a very weird year in which they got in. But you look at a lot of the other schools, like Sam Houston won a national championship not too long ago, and they are atrocious this year. Like they are playing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, in the middle of the week and just nobody's going to their game. Nobody cares. It's all that. It's like to that level, stay in the FCS. Go play meaningful postseason games. Go do that. Like I get you always want to climb the ladder, but sometimes you get stuck halfway up the ladder and you can't actually do anything cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but
Um, I do another gripe too, just last one, and then we'll finish with gear grinder and slap hands, and we'll wrap up the show. It's all like I get it, money, but it's all tied in with the money, and it's so blatantly obvious. ESPN has money tied in with the SEC. Fox Sports has money tied in with the Big Ten. Anytime you watch either one of those networks, they are pushing a narrative, putting the respective conference that they are have money with and invested in, and whose back is getting scratched. They push a narrative to elevate them and discredit everything else, and it's so blatantly obvious.
yeah,
Like turn if you watch any ESPN, you watch College Game Day, their bias, their SEC bias is blatantly obvious, and it's the same on whatever the big noon kickoff or whatever. They're Big Ten all the way, and they don't try to hide it.
no.
It's so
And
dumb.
you can think about the coaches that each school has added, or that each program has added. Nick Saban goes to College Game Day. He's an SEC coach going to the program that loves the SEC, has a bias towards the SEC. He could speak to how good the SEC is. Big Noon Kickoff did the same thing with Urban Meyer, the old Ohio State coach, to say, "Hey, Ohio State's awesome, and Ohio State's this, and Ohio State's the best, and this team was really good when I played there, and this team is kind of sneaky good. You wouldn't think they're actually, and they're essentially just politicking for it." And then the selection committee hears this, the general public hears this, and then the selection committee can make an easier decision based on the narrative that has been set in the general public's eye, because then they get less backlash for it.
Yeah, like I said, need a lot of problems that need to be solved as far as that goes. But okay, we're kind of running low on time, so let's finish up. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first. I went first last time.
So my gear grinder of this past week is that it is current. It's so as you're listening to this, it's December 10th, and I am sick of winter, and that is far too early of a date to be this over winter and snow and shoveling and scraping my windshield and bad roads and not being able to go places because of bad roads. Uh, so at this rate, it's and like right now it's like raining, so it's probably gonna be icy tomorrow. It's gonna be fantastic, and I'm just over it already. It's been like I said, we're not even halfway through December. At this rate, just counting down the days till March. Because at least March, you get to watch some basketball. You get a little bit of hope. You'll be like, well, we're getting close to the end of winter. We'll still probably get a couple snowstorms. It's not my first rodeo. I know how this goes around here during these next few months. But it's just been a giant pain in the ass, and far too early. But then my slap hands will be Saturday was a lot of fun. Hadn't you were over, hadn't seen you, had a bunch of friends over, made some food, had some beers, and watched football for essentially the entire day, which was a lot of fun. So I don't know, I just had a lot of fun on Saturday. Good times.
Oh
Vibing.
yeah, always good time. Get some of the old teammates together, being able to reminisce about old stories, and just being able to talk and hang out, and yeah, good time.
Yeah. So I had a fun
Um,
weekend.
yeah, no, I'll differentiate a little bit. Have some similar answers, but uh, my gear grinder of the week is people not knowing how to drive in snow. Which, if you live in the Midwest, you know that these last few weeks have been very bad driving conditions. Uh, if you don't feel comfortable driving, don't get out on the road. Like, there was a car that I got stuck behind the other day. It was while it was snowing, the conditions weren't great. There are two lanes. This car has its hazards on. It's a relatively like main street. has its hazards on, is swerving in between every lane imaginable. Like it is going all over the place. And it just, you couldn't tell because you didn't know if they were turning because they had their hazards on, so they couldn't signal. Then they were going so slow that there was a massive pileup behind them. Keep in mind, I'm directly behind them trying to get around this car, but I can't. And they were essentially trying to drive safe and causing more harm than good, which is a real gear grinder.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is.
but my slap hands of the week, it's still before the holidays, so the snow maybe is a little better or a little bit more doable until the 25th. But my slap hands of the week is essentially just Christmas being in full swing. It kind of felt like last week a little bit. It was still, Thanksgiving was so late this year. There was still a little bit, kind of that. Now it feels, I'm a big Christmas guy, and it feels kind of full head of steam towards Christmas in the next, 2 weeks here.
Mhm.
So kind of the peak time for Christmas. But
That's
yeah,
that's crazy that Christmas is in 2 weeks. Like you look at the calendar, like the 10th to the 25th. Like, oh shit, yeah. Like seems like a long time, but yeah, it's 2 weeks.
yeah.
Weird how that works.
Oh, 2 weeks in a day. Let's
Yeah,
be right.
yeah, whatever. All right, that will wrap it up for this week's edition of the Back to Back Boys. We thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Shoot us a comment on how broken college football is, or actually, you know what? If you get this far, give us a comment. What was your favorite moment from this past season for the Jackrabbits? We'll we'll read through them and interact with you guys. Um, so yeah, I guess we're not quite sure how we're going to move forward now that the Jackrabbit season is done. We might do a few more and just kind of talk about all things college football until that wraps up and completely. Um, but yeah, stay tuned. We're not exactly sure how we're going to proceed yet, but we'll let you guys know. We'll definitely be back next year once the fall rolls around. But
Got
uh,
to figure some things out. Figure out, if we want to potentially talk about other sports besides college football. The NFL season is also winding down. Um,
we're
do
gonna hire a committee to meet in a room once a week and decide what we should do. And then
and
everybody
that
can
committee is
complain.
going to be comprised of athletic directors
Yeah,
or
for sure.
so Justin Sell. If you're watching this, please let us know what we should do for the podcast. We appreciate it.
Okay, that will conclude, and we will see you guys next time.